Hello everyone, and welcome to my corner of the internet. At the end of last year, and by last year I mean 2020, not 2021, I did a month-long art challenge with the goal of improving my digital art skills. While I was pretty proud of myself for completing the challenge, my results weren't quite as good as I would have liked, and in the comments section of that video, someone suggested that I should try the same challenge again after a year practice. So here I am. One of the main changes that I've made this year is my drawing program. Instead of using Paint 3D as I did the first time, I'm using Fire Alpaca now, which not only has more brushes and tools to use, but most importantly has layers, and that's been really helpful in improving my digital art. I've spent the past week working on finishing these drawings, so here they are. The first prompt was your favorite flower. I don't really have a favorite flower, so I just drew these red flowers. I don't know what type of flower they are, but it was fun to draw and a fun warm-up for the rest of the prompts. Number 2 is your Zodiac Sign. I'm not a huge believer in astrology, at least I don't think I am, but it's pretty hard for me to deny that I fit the description for a Scorpio pretty well. And yes, I have taken into consideration the idea that the descriptions are vague enough to fit anyone. I'm definitely a pretty loyal, intense, creative person, and that's just a pretty basic part of my personality. So even if it's just a coincidence that those are also the characteristics of my sign, I still think that astrology can be fun, and it's something I use frequently to come up with birthdays for my characters. Number 3 is a musical instrument. One major thing that I've improved on this past year is digitally drawing people, and just drawing people in general. So instead of just drawing an instrument, I decided to draw one of my characters playing an instrument. The obvious choice was one of my temple musicians, Nebta, playing a sistrum. Her name was initially a placeholder, but I'm actually starting to like it. And I really just wanted a chance to draw some awesome New Kingdom fashion. I also tried to play around with overlays to make the colors look more cohesive. I'm not sure if it was successful, but that's what this challenge was for. It was for experimentation. The fourth prompt was your favorite book character. I'm currently trying to write my own book, and these are 2 characters from it. I've been having a lot of fun writing their dynamic lately, and this is actually an illustration of the scene that I'm working on writing right now. As I said after my first attempt at this challenge, I'm not a big fan of fan art, so I was trying to put off drawing other people's characters as long as possible. And for number 5, I went right ahead and did some fan art for one of my favorite musicals of all time, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The prompt was your favorite musician, and I think that this actor is named Patrick Page, and his performance, along with all the other actors and singers in this cast, was absolutely amazing. It's truly one of my favorite musicals and one of my favorite adaptations of the story. Even though I think it was officially a Disney show and used many of the songs from the film, including Hellfire, which is the song I've depicted here, it also brings in a lot of elements from the original novel by Victor Hugo, including the not-so-happy ending and the more nuanced characters. For number 6, the prompt was something from your dream place you want to visit or live. Well, after a few subpar attempts at digitally painting Sneferu's Red Pyramid, I decided to do something I've been wanting to do for a while. Drawing a portrait of someone from New Kingdom Egypt based on a statue of that person. I decided on the Menjechi because I really like this scarf thing that he has. I've never seen it in any other Egyptian art, but there are a couple of statues of him wearing it. It's pretty interesting. And I guess that this drawing answers the prompt in 2 ways. First of all, Menjechi himself is from Egypt, a place that I would love to visit, and the statue is somewhere in an art museum. I'm not really sure where. At this point, I would love to visit any art museum to see some art in person. I don't even care which one. Ideally, it would be the Louvre, or the Met, or the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, or the one in Berlin, but really anyone will do. Number 7 was the moon. Believe it or not, the first thing I practiced after I finished this art challenge for the first time was drawing the moon digitally. And now I'm wondering if that actually hindered my moon drawing ability. I developed a sort of muscle memory before I could learn more fundamental digital art skills, so this moon doesn't look any better than the moons I drew a year ago. Number 8 was a self-portrait. After about 5 failed attempts of trying to draw my own face, I just decided to use this prompt as a chance to practice action poses. So here's a sort of self-portrait of me doing archery. It irritates me a little that my form isn't perfect in this drawing. It kind of looks like I'm not quite at full draw, but at least I remembered to draw my arm guard here. I much prefer to see my face half covered and set with this look of concentration rather than up close. Prompt 9 was your favorite animal. I love almost all animals, but I decided to go with a cat, specifically an Egyptian Mao. And not just any Mao, but Pebbles. I've been meaning to update Pebbles' character design for a while. I'm in the process of developing a real plot for Moswin that isn't my scrap time travel idea, or just a massive collection of vignettes and character sketches, or a detailed description of the daily lives of every single person living in the imaginary town I've created. The new plot puts Pebbles more at the front of the action, rather than just as a cute side character, so for story reasons, I've decided to change his eyes from green to blue. He's very handsome either way. Number 10 was something vintage. After sifting through some old photos online, I found one picture of this Edwardian girl with a bike. I thought she looked really cute, so I did my best to copy the bike and her outfit. Even though her arm got a little cut off, this actually turned out to be one of my favorite drawings. I love the color scheme and the overall mood, and I might just have to make this girl into a character. The 11th prompt was your happy place. According to Cambridge Dictionary, a happy place is a memory, situation, or activity that makes you feel happy. Well, one thing that's always sure to make me feel happier is to escape into my carefully constructed imaginary world. I have a bit of a problem going into this happy place whenever I'm in a stressful situation, but when I'm at home or when I've got my sketchbook or notebook with me, I love to fully escape into it by drawing and writing. Number 12 was your favorite video game character. I don't think I've played any video games basically since 2019, so it's been a while, but before then I did spend a little bit of time playing Stardew Valley, which is a farming game that my brother introduced me to. My favorite thing about the game were all the little characters and their cutscenes and their stories. Like I said, it's been a few years since I played the game, but as I was looking through the wiki to find reference photos of the characters, I came across one character who, according to the dialogue listed on the wiki page, talks a lot like my boyfriend and dresses the way I would probably dress if I were a boy. The 13th prompt was your favorite TV show. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of TV or movies. Most of my exposure to anything that's not a book or a musical comes from the snippets of whatever my family is watching that I overhear when I have my headphones off. But one TV show, or I guess series of TV movies that I like, is the Horatio Hornblower series. The movies are based off of a book series by C.S. Forester about a British naval officer in the Napoleonic Wars named Horatio Hornblower. It's a very well done series, and I'm never going to complain about men in late 18th century to early 19th century clothing. So for this picture, I tried to copy what I guess is some kind of promotional poster for the show. Number 14 was Someone You Love, and of course I had to draw my boyfriend. I didn't really like how it came out, so I actually showed it to him beforehand with the disclaimer that it doesn't really look like him. He looked at it and said that it has a book and a cross in it, so of course it looks like me. So at least I managed to get all the important details. For number 15, the prompt was water droplets. I decided to do a sort of digital painting without real line art here of leaves with water droplets on them. According to my family, the droplets look more like insect egg sacs than drops of water, but it was still fun to do a painting after all this line art. Number 16 was your pet. Since I didn't do my cat for number 14, I realized that this was the perfect place to do a drawing of her. I wouldn't want her to be jealous of my boyfriend. So even though this picture isn't perfect, I do think it's a very good representation of her. She does make those sort of expressions. And I've kept this cardboard box that she's sitting in my room just for her for the past few months. The 17th prompt was your favorite drink. My favorite drink is tea, specifically mint tea. Other kinds are good too, but I'm always in the mood for mint. I'm actually drinking ginger tea right now. It's right next to me. The chair I'm sitting in is actually a chair that I just got. One of my neighbors put it out on their curb, so I claimed it as my reading chair. As you can see, I was kind of abusing the blur tool for the shading, especially on the face. The blur tool was probably the best thing I learned how to use in this challenge, but I think it's a little bit too much here. 18 was your fear. I think that my biggest fear is my own insignificance. And unfortunately, that's not a fear I can really escape. I'm terrified that my life means nothing and that when I die, it won't even matter that I was here. Of course, it's pretty easy to resolve this in my mind when I look at history, because after all, you can look at history and see that just one person's life can have a ripple effect on the rest of the world for centuries. But that's just on Earth. On a cosmic scale, Earth is tiny. This drawing is the pale blue dot, or it's Earth from space. So that tiny little dot is Earth, floating in nothingness. There's a speech by Carl Sagan, I think, that goes along with this. My biology teacher showed it to the class last year, and he seemed to think it was really cool. So did the other kids, but I went home and cried. Number 19 was your favorite candy. I have no shame. My favorite candy is breath mints. I eat breath mints, and I realize that that's weird. I'll eat other mint-flavored candies, but I genuinely prefer the taste of breath mints, and I think that the spearmint-flavored ones are the best. Prompt 20 was create your own version of a piece done by your favorite artist. I was thinking about redoing a book illustration, but I decided to draw my own version of a frame from my favorite animated movie musical, The Prince of Egypt. I love the shot where Seti is talking to Moses. I thought it was really cool how Seti is standing up against a statue of his face. And there's a scene later where Ramesses is standing in the same position with his own statue behind his father's. I also love how the animators made Seti look sort of similar to the real Seti. He kind of looks like an older version. I don't know why he's so old. I think the real Seti, the first, died in his 40s, but... Number 21 was your favorite memory. My favorite memory to date is actually pretty recent. The day my then best friend asked me to be his girlfriend. I had been wishing for that pretty much since the day we met, but I was sure that he didn't have any interest in me and had resigned myself to just being close friends. I'm so glad that he asked, because I would never have been brave enough to bring it up. This is also the day when I learned why teenagers will hug and kiss out in public and not care who's watching. As you can see, I still need more practice drawing kissing and hugging and other character interactions. And in order to distract from the awkward posing, I spent an excessive amount of time on the background. Oh well. Number 22 was your favorite gemstone. My favorite gemstone is turquoise, and I wanted to try to make it look like a three-dimensional stone. I'm not sure if it was successful, but as you can see, I used the blur tool once again, maybe a little bit too much. The 23rd prompt was your favorite holiday. As I mentioned the last time I did this challenge, I love holidays, so it's hard for me to choose my favorite one. But I decided that I wanted to keep on using the blur tool to see if I could make candles look like they were glowing, and the best way to do that was to draw a picture of an Adventskranz, which is a German Christmas tradition. 24 was a mythical creature. The last time I did this challenge, I tried to draw a unicorn, but it came out horribly. In order to avoid the same results, I decided to use a reference and try to make the unicorn look a bit less cartoony. I can't tell if he's handsome or creepy looking, maybe a bit of both, which I guess makes sense for a mythical creature. Prompt 25 was your favorite planet. Of course, I love Earth, even if it is a tiny speck in the universe. But I also like another planet in our solar system, one that elementary and even middle school children like to make fun of. Personally, it's always been my favorite planet because of its color, and I think that its name should be changed to Georgium Sidus or George's Star. For prompt 26, something from the 80s, I drew the same thing as last year, a cassette tape of the original Broadway cast recording of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The musical went on Broadway in 1982, and the cast recording is still one of my favorite versions of the soundtrack. While I wouldn't say that Joseph is objectively the best musical out there, it's fun and silly and always makes me happy when I listen to it. Prompt 27 was your hands. There isn't too much to say about this piece. It's just my hands, and I used my own hands for a drawing reference. Number 28 was a forest or ocean. I hadn't really decided on which one I wanted to do, so I took to the internet to find stock photos for reference. I came across some odd pictures, as one often sees when looking at stock photos, including one that caught my attention. And it was of a pig swimming in the ocean with a bird on his head. I thought it was actually pretty cute, and I feel like I could write a story about these two. It looks like they're going on an adventure. Prompt 29 was yin yang. I saw this design somewhere once, and I thought it was the most adorable thing. And it's obviously not my design, I just copied it and turned it blue. Prompt 30 was something from the 70s, and of course, I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to make the prompt about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat again. I found a synopsis of the show on a record case from this decade that I thought explained it pretty well. It says, words by Tim Rice, based on an ancient Hebrew story, Genesis 36-41, and touching on the themes of men's fashions, circa 2500 BC, occultism, sibling rivalry, slavery, illicit love, Middle East economics, practical jokery, and reconciliation. Music by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And that's pretty much it. Prompt 31 was something you couldn't live without. I absolutely could not live without music. I listen to it pretty much constantly, no matter what I'm doing. This picture doesn't show what I'm doing because it could be anything, from schoolwork to drawing to folding laundry, but no matter what, I'm probably listening to something and possibly singing along with it. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. These drawings took me much longer than I thought they would, but overall I'm pretty happy with the results. I think that I did learn a lot from this challenge, and I might try it again next year and see how much I've improved by then. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comment section, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!